after meeting Nelson Mandela and say, you know what, even if it was 5 minutes, I know what he stands for and who he is. Even crying. Deep vibe. He is that peacemaker. He is someone who is fabulous. And we've been doing a very tremendous job as a country 20 years down the line.
Welcome back. Yesterday, CBC Radio in Canada aired audio interviews with South African icon Nelson Mandela, recorded for his famous autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. The tapes release comes nearly 20 years since Mr. Mandela led the movement to end apartheid and portray the civil rights leader as a man beyond bitterness after having served 27 years in prison.
You don't want to go to prison, you don't want to be arrested. But by going to jail, you free yourself from the fear of the oppressor. Once you have rid yourself of the fear, there's nothing that they can do.
We're pleased now to be joined by former South African broadcaster Nambitha Ben-Mazwi. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
It is an absolute pleasure being here, John.
Wow, well, thank you for your low standards. So I was very inspired to hear this. I was a marshal for the welcoming committee for Mr. Mandela when he first came here, before he was president, when he was first released back in 1990, I think. I was like a little kid. And it was one of my most exciting moments of my life. And hearing these tapes brought me back to hearing him speak in Yankee Stadium. You've listened to these tapes. Were you as impressed as I was at the complete lack of bitterness in how he describes his experience of being incarcerated?
I think I'd have to say yes and no. I mean, of course, we're all humans, and having gone through something and of that stature and so much oppression, and obviously being at the forefront of, you know, the defiance campaigns and the military wings and you know, taking a really good stance of you being in jail and being prepared to die. As a human, you'd think, you know, goodness, after you get that freedom, you know, and after what's happened to your family, and I mean his wife, Winnie, at the time, and children, you would be kind of startled at such a very appeasing, peaceful, you know, way of kind of just leading on. But to me, it's no surprise because the person that he is, and I think mostly because of his internal freedom at that point that he had already had. So I think having that internal freedom is the most important thing. For him, there was no remorse anymore. It was literally just waiting until, you know, things have changed. And for him, it was, well, I'm free, I've been free, and that's why he could go through all that he did. So,
is there anything new that we learned from these tapes that we didn't know before?
I think he is someone who shows someone else after 5 minutes of meeting, you know, you, and you can leave the room after meeting Nelson Mandela and say, you know what, even if it was 5 minutes, I know what he stands for and who he is. So for me, it's even just watching something that short, it's really no surprise. He is who he is. He is that peacemaker. He is someone who is self-assured and knows exactly what he wants to achieve and gets it done. And I mean, someone who is self-assured can lead a whole country, you know, and have the whole world look at him.
Well, lead the country he did, and now we're 20 years post-apartheid, 20 years of democracy in South Africa. So what is President Mandela's continuing legacy for the country?
I think immediately what springs into mind is our currency at the moment. I mean, I like to call them randellas at the moment. You know, our currency has actually a lovely picture that is shown a bit kind of made up of him with a bit of makeup, I think. But yeah, our money is completely printed now. We have his face on our money. But I think his legacy, which is what he stands for, are children. There's a Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. There's a Nelson Mandela, you know, hospital, Children's Hospital, and that's something that he has actually focused on. All he talks about is children being the future, and that to him is his investment. That is what he stands for, and that's the legacy that he's been trying to actually leave.
And of course, Mr. Mandela is 94 years old now, and obviously in very weakened health. What do you think will be the effect on South Africa when he passes away?
I think, I don't even want to think about that day, to be honest. I think the whole world, and especially the country at the moment, is preparing for his death, you know, and taking, you know, currency and changing so many things right now. I honestly think that with our current turmoil that's happening in politics, with, you know, the leadership, with a lot of corruption that might be happening, and you know how government is like, there's always just a lot of turmoil. I think when he does pass, because he always has been almost the father that everyone will respect and look up to and look to lead. And it will be a very sad day. I think the whole world will be dawned onto South Africa. And I think it will definitely be a time where a lot of people will just internally look at themselves as far as where the country is going. And we've been doing a very tremendous job as a country 20 years down the line, you know, and from a global point of view, and hosting World Cups. So I think when he does pass away, it will be looking at yourselves, and hopefully the government will start to kind of just try to live up his legacy even more. So that's my hope.
Former South African broadcaster Nambitha Ben-Mazwi, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Absolute pleasure.
Of course,
Thank
come
you,
see
John.
us again. Well, my panel joins me next to talk about the biggest political story of the year, if you're a comedian. Michelle Bachmann is leaving Congress. From my homies, that's coming up.